Hello, and welcome to Mechwarrior Online. Today we're looking at the Shadowcat, and this is the Shadowcat B. Yes, I have done a quick review on this mech before, but I want to touch on some of the things that are really interesting about this mech. This particular mech without changing any of the omnipods. So, what are you getting with this mech? Well, you have the capability of clan ECM, which is very valuable. And then you get 2 energy points and 2 missile points. And with this set up in the original configuration, you're getting an XP bonus of 2.5, energy cooldown minus 10%, a general cooldown of minus 7.5%, so that's 17.5% cooldown if you use energy weapons. Missile cooldown minus 10 as well, which once again is minus 17%. Then you're also getting a heat of minus 7.5. So in addition to being able to fire more often, you're getting additional heat reduction to probably offset that a little bit. As far as survivability, the armor for the center torso is 8. On the right and left torso, it's 9. And on the arms, it's 8. And on the legs, it's also 8. But you're also getting some mobility out of this guy. Torso yaw speed, plus 10%, deceleration plus 10%, acceleration plus 10%, and then jump jet heat minus 20%. So before you've even gone through the skilling of this mech, you've actually got quite a bit already moving forward on this. So it's one of the reasons why I don't change the B around very often. If I do change it around, I change it around for a good reason. Maybe I'm going for a particular build, I'm in a certain mood. But because this is an omnipod mech, you can change things around. And you can do it fairly easily. Most of the time, I end up leaving this left torso the way it is. And if I have a different Shadowcat, I'll put this torso on or something of that nature. Because having ECM is really a game changer in the game for being able to stay. I look at it like free armor. It costs me 1 ton and it gives me a lot more armor than adding armor would give me normally. Yes, I only run 2 in the rears on all 3 of these for rear support armor. I'm very aware of my surroundings. Not everybody is, and I don't usually have to worry about it too much. But you can do a lot of different things on this mech because of this build. So what have I got on here right now? I've got 2 ER large lasers, 2 SRM4s, clan ECM, 4 double heat sinks, and a half ton of ammo on each arm. And by doing this, this gives me, I had to go down from an SRM6 to an SRM4. I would have liked to have gone with an SRM6, but by going to the SRM4, these are going to be just in situations where I'm in close quarters. And if you're working in a group as a support mech, you're not going to be in a lot of close quarters battles. You have to know your surroundings and know where your strengths are. You don't want to be tip of the spear. But this is going to allow you to reach out at a great distance and do damage. So that's what this mech build is for, is supporting the front line and hitting snipers, giving little wake-up calls. Now this mech has mask built in and jump jets. So this makes this thing really good for doing pop-tarting and getting into close quarters situations and getting out of them just as quickly. But you got to remember what your mech is capable of doing and remember your surroundings. So I've got heat management on this build of 1.35, firepower of 36, and a speed of 97.2. It's unskilled as far as the speed tweak goes. But what I want to show you is some of the other builds you can put on this. So I've got the 2 ER large lasers right here. And then this is a popular one that I run quite often. And this is an ATM-6, an ATM-9, 2 ER medium lasers, clan ECM, and 4.5 tons of ammo. And on this particular build, I'm actually running 1 armor in the rear. It just seems to work. Putting more armor up front because quite frankly, this mech has a tendency to tank a little bit more often because the ATM weapons are more direct fire than they are indirect fire, because they don't have, if you look at them, they don't have indirect really all that well. It has indirect missile spread and direct missile spread, but the indirect speed, there isn't much of one. Coming along. Now this one is pretty self-explanatory. You're sacrificing ammo, and you still have mediocre armor in the rear, but you're getting the LRM range features, and these have indirect velocity and direct velocity, which is different than ATM weapons. This deals pretty well, but you're sacrificing also on heat, so the heat management from 1.35 is 1.2 now. But you're getting a little bit better firepower, and of course you can fire up and over and down on structures. Not quite as good as Intersphere mechs do, but pretty good still. Moving on. This is a build that I've looked at, but I haven't actually run in a match. And I'm actually considering running this a few times to see how this works out. This is using the new plasma cannons. I haven't used these, and as you can see, I haven't even purchased them. But this is something I've been looking at trying. I wanted to see how well this is going to work on the battlefield. These plasma cannons, it's a lighter variant of the Clan PPC. This PPC also deals heat damage to its intended target. So heat damage is going to be really good for supporting the front line as far as in firepower. And because of the, it does have a good range, but it's a limited range. And what I mean by that is the optimum range is only 540 unskilled. And so with that, you want to be spending most of your time doing damage in that 540 range. That's still a pretty good distance away, but it's not reaching out nearly as far as a standard PPC would. So I don't like people to think in terms of what the maximum range is, because the maximum range is it's attainable, but the problem is it doesn't do very much damage. You feel like you might be doing damage, but all you're really doing is being annoying at the best. So you want to focus on your optimum ranges, and that's why I focus on optimum ranges most of the time. And then, of course, you've got your SRM6s here along with them. And you can actually go with a ton of ammo each for each one of these, because you're going to be a support mech, so you're going to be using these and using these in conjunction with each other. I would still fire them separately because of the range differences, but if you come in and you hit somebody with a pair of the plasma cannons and then you hit them with the SRM6s separately, you should be able to keep your heat management in good check and still be able to dish out some really good damage. And because of the cooldown reduction, you're going to be able to do pretty good damage on these as well, because you can see the cooldown is reduced as well on the plasma cannons, and the cooldown is still applied to these SRM6s. So these are things to consider. The last build. This is probably one of the most popular builds you'll ever see on the battlefield. I never run this. I never run this because I am terrible at PPCs. That's why you don't see that these are purchased. I just bought a couple mechs, so that I'll be working on this next week, so I don't have very much cash left. But yeah, this is a popular build on the battlefield. I see this all the time. And I saw a guy last night that just cleaned house. He was on our team. It was wonderful watching this guy work. And he was watching his heat management really well. Even in the end, when he was getting sucker punched, we ended up losing that match. But even though he was getting sucker punched left and right, he still managed to take out a mano. He took out 2 mechs on his own. One of the mechs was almost fully skilled or fully armored. So it wasn't like, he was doing the tip of the iceberg thing. He got a solo kill, I'm sure, on one of those. And just, really good range, really good optimum range is what I'm basically leaning towards here. This is 810 unskilled. So with skills, and presumably he probably had his range skilled out a lot, you can get all the way out to 910 or 930, excuse me. And so that really makes the really big difference there. And he was spending most of his time, it was on Canyon Network, so he wasn't reaching all the way out to 1620. He spent most of his time, it looked like, in the match with us in the group as a support, just, punching here and there. And each one of these delivers 10 damage, and believe me, they add up. He did well over 700 damage in that match. So, that's a lot of firing here and there, but, he got in there, he was good support, good protect. We didn't end up winning the day, but it was still a really good match. And watching him drive with these two simple weapons, this is what people get. You don't have to have a mech that has 70 damage in an alpha strike on it to do really well. You can do really well on mechs that only have 5 or 10 damage. I mean, look at the Dire Wolf with 6 AC2s. You can do tons and tons of damage with that. In fact, I can't remember what it's called. The Rifleman 2C comes factory with the 6 of the AC2s on it. And it does really, really well. You can do really, really well with those. But back to my original build that I have on here. I run this build quite often, and the one with the the ATM 6 and ATM 9, and clean house on those. You can have really good matches on those, and either one of these you can do really, really well. Anyway, I hope some of this information filters in. And remember to stick together, call out targets, and work together as a team. And don't forget to use your microphones and comms, because comms wins matches. And of course, if you go to Victrix Station, control the top.